Hello everyone, welcome back to yet another video. In today's episode, I want to bring you along as I take on a shorter job here. I've been tasked to create the cover image for the original soundtrack album that the very talented musician Sam Webster created for the game Skies of Chaos. Now, this is the same game I made the trailer and cutscenes for. Now, if you're unfamiliar with that project, I made a video already about this that sort of gives you an overview of how this project went down. So give that a watch if you want to know more about that. Now, for this little job here, there is quite a short turnaround, so I'll try to reuse assets that I've already created for this trailer and game and kind of compose an image that fits this purpose. Fun little add-on to a larger project and a cool way to bring you along as well as I create it. Now, I'm gonna try to get this done today, so there really is no time to waste. Let's get started. A few things straight off the bat that I know I will need for this image is the title of the game, as well as the credit to Sam, saying something like soundtrack by Sam Webster or original soundtrack, or however we phrase that. We'll see, but those things we need to kind of keep in mind to leave some space for. So maybe we start with getting those in there. The title has this really nice 3D thickness, and it was created by my good friend Daniel Diggle, who's the designer of the game. And I'm thinking we could use that 3D-ness of it to kind of integrate it into the scene, rather than just having like a 2D title on top of everything, like a card. It could sit within the scene if we're building stuff around this. So that's an option I think I will try to go for. Due to the very short time frame of this project, I don't think I will draw any characters. I had characters in the trailer and the game has a bunch of characters, but it's also very airplane focused. So I have created these 3D airplanes that I can easily kind of compose shots from. So I think I'll use those rather, just to save time and be able to, create something today. So I think that's the smartest approach. But let's start by doing some quick sketches around this title and sort of get an idea of where we want to go with this. It's otherwise hard for you guys to follow along as well. Otherwise you just hear my sort of brain cogs chugging away. So let's do that. So I will start with a square canvas here. And I'll make this pretty large and at 300 dpi, just in case we want to use it for print or whatever. So we got the title here, and I love the design of this one, so that will do a lot for us already. Let's begin by making this a bit smaller. To make things quite simple, we could maybe have the ocean below here. In the trailer, I had this stylized ocean I animated that I think looks cool, so we can just add something similar here. Have the camera quite low over the water surface, and then we have a bunch of clouds frame the backgrounds. Sort of like streaks in the sky, I think could look cool. Then we can have some airplanes fly above this logo here, of course, making it feel busy. Maybe we drop the title down so it sits in the lower part of the image instead, and have maybe the credits at the top of the image. The planes operate in the sky, so we don't want the ocean to take too much space off the composition. Maybe the title is slightly submerged in the water even, or hit by some waves perhaps. Yeah, I think that could look cool. So for this trailer, I made a bunch of different airplanes. So we have, for example, this big purple one flown by the villain of the game. And I quite like this shot as it is. It's a good kind of reference for what we're making now with the cloud and the sky color and so on. So I think I'm just gonna take that and use the same for the picture we're making. We have a few other planes too. We have like this yellow one, and then like this sort of two-winged red one as well, and some green airplanes also for the enemies. So I have stuff to work with, and these are all 3D assets I have in Cinema 4D that I can use to compose this shot with. So I'm thinking now maybe I just either compose it all in Cinema, or I just render them separate. Maybe I just kind of align each one and render those as separate assets that I can move in Photoshop as layers rather. Yeah, I think that'll be the easiest. These render really fast, so if I just kind of try one out, render it, I can, you know, realign it and recompose it. Yeah, we'll do it that way. But we can start with this big guy. I think that would be cool to kind of have that guy in there and almost recreate that shot that we had in the trailer. I'm in a new document here in Cinema 4D. I've copied the ship over from the original file so that I can pose it here. What if this guy is sort of looming above the title? So it could sit here and we could have the title here. I rendered these planes with a few passes, and I intend to show you in a more detailed video how these planes were made. But I guess I can cover some of it here too. So I have a pass that is pure color, no shading applied to this at all, just a solid texture. We also got line work and shading that goes on top of this. I will render this at a high res and on transparency as a PNG file. Let's try this out in the Photoshop document, and we can drop it in here. So that could sit kind of behind the title. Maybe we move the title down a bit more. And I feel we need to make the ship a bit smaller. So we go back to Cinema 4D and adjust it. It could maybe look up a bit more. And let's render that guy. So let's get rid of the old one and use this one instead. So maybe somewhere like here. Yeah, I think that looks good. Let's go for something like this as a center element. Before we add any more layers to this, let me tell you about today's sponsor. All the music you hear in my YouTube videos here are all from the vast library of tracks that Epidemic Sound offers. As a video creator here on YouTube, it's important for me to find music that I have the right to use. I need to be able to monetize my videos and not get flagged for any copyright strikes. Epidemic Sound covers this for me. They make the process of finding the music for my videos really fun and smooth, as I can easily browse a ton of artists, tracks and sound effects and find the right ones for me. Epidemic Sound suggests similar tracks to the ones that I like, so if I'm searching for something specific, that feature is very helpful. You can even get super specific and search for similar tracks from selected sections of a piece of music using their ear feature. I've been using Epidemic Sound for over 3 years now, and I would recommend this to any content creator looking to add licensed music and sound effects to their videos. If that sounds like you, then make sure you follow the link in the description to get a 30-day free trial. Everything you post in that trial is also protected. Now, big thanks to Epidemic Sound for sponsoring this segment. Now let's listen to some good tunes and get back to the video. Let's render the other passes for the big airplane as well. We got the line pass using Sketch and Tune from Cinema 4D. This will be added on top of our color layer that we have already rendered. I also have a shadow pass, which is using the material override feature in Cinema 4D. And there I'm inputting a white standard material. And then I'm lighting the scene with a single infinite light set to like a madly bright setting. This gives me this very hard shadow layer that I can composite above the colors. And we can then change the angle of the light to get different effects here. Let's give this white background some color. Okay, dropping these rendered layers in. The line work I set to multiply, so all the white gets cancelled out. That adds a lot of detail. For the shading layer, I have the option to either set it to multiply and drop the opacity down here. Or I can also set it to something like screen. I could use it as shadows or as highlights really. I like the brightness of using it as highlights here. I think we go for that. In the trailer, I used it as shadows and dropped the opacity of that layer. But for a still image, I think it's very punchy with these being white. Yeah, I like it. I'll just get rid of the drawn airplanes now. Let's work a bit more on the background before we add some more planes. Just experimenting a bit here, and I quite like having this white border around the edge. Feels like it could work well for an album cover. The ocean can come down here too, so the title sits in it. I think I will actually drop in a rendered frame from the ocean shot that I made for the trailer. On its own, it looks like that, but we can make this fit the scene here. I think this will save me some time as I don't have to start from scratch with colors, but I want to make sure this fits the image here, so a bit of work will be required. Yeah, let's see how we deal with this one.
So one thing I think could work quite well for the shot now is to add some kind of water splashes here on either side. So it feels like maybe the ship is sort of pushing up a bit of spray from the ocean surface. And I was thinking, because I created a water kind of splash effect for the trailer. Let's see, it's the shot. It's this shot coming after this one, where the plane dives down, and then we have this big water splash coming up. And this is a Photoshop file that I've animated this in, so we can just kind of grab a few frames from that and use that instead of having to repaint them. So this is the file which has that splash in it, like a separate asset. And we can grab maybe this frame here, turn off the background, and copy this guy over. And then we can just kind of scale this up. Down here maybe, yeah, something like that. Could just flip it, or we can go back here. Maybe we take another frame here. And put that in here as well. Can flip that around. Something like this. I think that works quite well, like on either side here. I think I want to work a bit more on the ocean, and then we need to get on with some clouds too. But we'll start with the ocean, just clean that up a little bit, and see where we can take it. So now I got the ocean painted a bit better, and I kind of kept working these splashes a bit as well. I got the logo to sort of sit more integrated into the water with some kind of water splashes going up above it. And I think that looks kind of cool. I like how these lines on the water, like the kind of foam that sits on top of it, would lead the eye in towards our main subject. And I kind of want to do the same thing for the clouds, so that they all point in towards the middle. Now this is a very symmetrical composition, almost like completely balanced on either side. And often if I would do like a background for animation or a landscape painting, whatever, I would try to aim for sort of asymmetry, where you still have balance but not bang on center. But since we have our logo in the middle here, and that's the main thing that we're looking at, I think it works quite well to do this very symmetrical composition. All right, so let's tackle the clouds next and see how that goes. What we could do here first is to add the sky sort of full of enemy fighter planes, so they fly high up and fill this space. Maybe yet again the rendered assets from the shot in the trailer might even fit here. Yeah, look at that. Perfect. Just gonna copy these around and place them out. Now let's finally paint some clouds. All right, back after a quick dinner, and I put my son to bed, so we can keep working. And I'm flipping the canvas now to kind of make sure that the composition isn't leaning too much to one side, and that's a good trick to use if you want to kind of make sure that it's balanced all right. So if some of the clouds would be like too heavy on one side and too few on one, you could feel like everything is sort of leaning to one direction. But I feel like it's coming together quite well. I'm actually surprised how fast this one has gone. I'm really psyched with how it's looking at the moment. So I think what we do now is we want to add some of these hero airplanes, like the red and the yellow one we looked at earlier today. I will kind of just repeat the method I did for this big one, but have these sort of fly towards the camera in some interesting way and have them be quite a lot smaller than this one, so it feels really large. So I'm gonna jump over to Cinema 4D and kind of align those and render those out so we can try them out in here. It's nice having them as layers here in Photoshop, because I can then move them around and see where they fit best. I'm pretty happy with this. I like how they overlap the white border on either side. I could have them sit on top of the logo too, but I'm not sure if that might take away from the title. I think the title is more important than the planes here, so I'll have them sit behind it. So this is the final piece that I came up with. I'm gonna send this over to Sam and see what he says, if he has any feedback. But I'm really happy with the outcome, and I think this went overly smooth, really. It helped a lot to have all those assets already created, so it was basically just assembling the pieces here. Hope you enjoyed this little tag-along video of my work today. Make sure you subscribe here on YouTube to not miss any other videos that's coming up. And go check out the old ones as well, obviously. Also, you can support me on Patreon and get access to a ton more videos that you won't see here on YouTube. And big thanks to all of you who already are subscribed over there as well. Now enjoy the rest of your day, or if you're watching this from bed, then good night to you, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.